And in that case, we remember and come back to that sense. And at this point, we will have cultivated or animated, let's say, because it's there in its original glory and divinity, and it's not really anything we can achieve or manufacture or cultivate, but it can feel that way. It can feel like it's growing because the capacity to see it is growing. So we just keep remembering, we keep that fire stoked. I've found that if we can sense it in the body, even if it's, something strange to the analytical mind, like, why would I feel it in my left foot? Like it immediately jets off into why I just would really encourage just laying all of that why, reasonability, need to know aside. And that's yet another filter and mediation on the direct experience. Where are we going to trace back to for our cause and effect? The Big Bang? When did the ball get rolling for all the whys? The intellect isn't going, it's inconceivable. The great mystery, that's why. The great mystery. It's kind of dumbfounding in a good way. It stands you still, which is exactly where we need to be. Just stood still. The stillness of the separate idea. The stillness of that which is beyond war. The war of good and bad. And the belief that there's a power, that the power of love is something that overcomes something else. It's not in relationship to anything. It is. It is. Infinite, eternal, is. It is intimate, beyond intimate, closer than close, like wetness and water. That kind of intimacy. Totally impersonal. Water's not trying to be wet, not thinking about being wet, not bestowing it here, overcoming things with it here, having it here, owning it here, holding it back here. It's wet. Love is love, is love, is love. It just is. We can make of it what we will, and we do. It doesn't have a judgment where it's going to say, well, you can't do that. It just gives each and every holy instant purely, here it is. Here it is. We can't stop it if we want to. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. It's overwhelming when it becomes experienced, because it knocks you down in a good way. I'm not saying, but everything that can't stand up to that ferocity comes into view. You know, it can be really subtle what we decide to believe about our experience. It's super, super, super subtle. Like, if I'm sorry, but it's just super distracting to have phones in the meditation hall. But it, it can be really subtle what we end up believing about what we've experienced, as if there can be, like, the pull of duality, let's say, is very, very strong. It's very strong. So if there is a sense, a real felt, lived sense of peace without opposite, joy without opposite, love without opposite, the mind, the analytical mind, the subtle identification process will start looking for that which is in opposition. It's just, even though the direct experience is one of, well, they use the word absolute. Absolute. Unopposed. And again, this is that, I mean, if temptation's too strong of a word, I don't know what it might work for you. But I think most paths talk about the seductiveness of the sensory world, the information coming from the senses, and how it slices and dices it into categories of this and that, this and that, this and that. So I guess also I want to say and offer a trusting in the direct experience of what feels true. Not true, not relatively, like in opposition to your neighbor, or in opposition to another this, that, or the other thing, or in opposition, but you know what I'm talking about. When it would cost you integrity to go against it, your sense of it, that kind of truth. When you just know that if I go against this, if I speak something different than this, or act differently than this, I'll lose some integrity, which is not a failure. It's not a failure. We're coming out of the spell of the conditioned mind. there are going to be, you know, a lot of ins and outs and what have yous. That's why, personally, here, I've never, for some reason, I mean, thanks be to Source, for some reason, I haven't had the temptation to abandon Sangha or abandon the path or abandon a teacher or abandon because I platformed somewhere, got somewhere, and I no longer needed, you know, the refuge of Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. That hasn't been a thing, but I know it can be tempting for some people, like, well, you know, here I am.